Up? Productivity and profit, profit and productivity, whichever you prefer. You might be watching this on Instagram. You might see this on LinkedIn. I don't know where it's going to go, but right now I am live. Yesterday I had a great call. Somebody that came in to the vault a while ago got their free office day, and we talked a little bit about his business and all that stuff. And we had some Q&A at the end, just kind of jammed on some of his questions. And the last question was, how do you know what to build? How do you know what course to build? And I said, what do you mean? And he said, well, right now you're selling R3 and nobody else is selling that. How did you know to sell that? Why did you go to market with this thing? And I'm going to piggyback off of Dan Nicholson's video yesterday, because there's a series of checklists and frameworks that I use. And they're often multi-dimensional, meaning if I could solve 10 problems, kill 10 birds with one stone, I'm going to do that. So if I could eliminate downside, create upside, create a forcing function, generate revenue, save time, all with one thing, obviously I'm going to. And so there's the frameworks I use. And it wasn't until yesterday where Dan Nicholson broke down his strategy for the group, which I'm going to share in my thought bombs, my nickpeterson.com/bombs. And in the newsletter, I'm really going to break down the strategy. But every month I'm going to break down a strategy of an actual 7 or 8 figure business, meaning like they've actually collected 7 or 8 figures for like 5 or 10 years. And so, but this came from Dan yesterday, who shared with us, is how do you know what course to create? Because everybody's what I call looking out the window. They're like, what can I sell? And I never lead with revenue generation because it's unknown. We don't know. We can think something's going to sell. We can have the best product in the world. That doesn't mean we know how to sell it. Doesn't mean the market wants it. Doesn't mean they're ready for it. All that stuff. Okay. So here are the 3 criteria I pulled out of Dan's training yesterday. I actually have like 5 or 6, but I just run through them really quick. Why did I launch R3? Why did I launch the Velocity course? Why the Vault? Here's why. There are 3 questions. I have like 5 or 6, but I'm going to talk about the 3 Dan talked about. I have a lot of stuff in my head that I need to build, and I don't know what order to build it in. I don't want to make stuff up. I know what order it should be presented in. That doesn't mean it's the best order to build it in, right? So I need a forcing function. I have all this stuff to do. What's going to force me to sit down and do it? That's very, very common. But that's only one criteria. We have to say yes to 2 of these criteria. And again, I didn't realize I was going through this until Dan broke it down yesterday. 2, is there a cost savings? And 3, is it a revenue generator? And if we could say yes to 2 of those 3 things, we move forward. So R3, it's a cost savings first, because I have to teach this over and over and over. And in my companies, I have to go find it over and over and over because a lot of my staff does not know how to do this. So there's a huge cost savings in codifying all this information, making videos, operating procedures, writing all the campaigns. So the reason I'm writing campaigns for the class is so that we have them internally. So there's a cost savings in it. Okay. It is also a forcing function. So by launching it as a master class that starts on January 6th and collecting money, by collecting money to teach it live, it became a forcing function. I now have to do it. Okay. So that's 2 birds. And then I turn around and sold it. Right? I said, okay, some people bought this. How many can I sell? I think we sold 40,000 on the first day that we opened cart, right? And then sales trickled in for a week or 2. So now it's a revenue generator, okay? So if you start with revenue generation, you could fail. It might not sell. However, if it is a forcing function and cost savings, it's a win. Even if nobody buys it, you codified your information, and you saved time and money, right? So the way that I choose what I build, courses, master classes, yada, 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 I am actually doing to save myself time. And the reason I sell it instead of just building procedures for my team is it's a forcing function. Once you guys give me $1,000. Now I have to show up every Monday at 10 a.m. and teach this freaking thing. And in that teaching process, we get all the content we need, we get the processes we need, and it's actually going to turn into a book, right? So the best products, people aren't going, what can I sell to make money? That's like millennial entrepreneur group, right? Like people don't know what they're doing. Just solve your own problem. That's what I do. So that's the question. Next time you want to do something, is it a forcing function? Is it a cost savings? Is it a revenue generator? Those three are great checklists from Dan Nicholson. If it's only one of those three, just table it. If it's two of those three, great. If you have a few things to do and one of those meets all three criteria, do that thing, right? All we're doing is maximizing the return. We're minimizing the risk. We're maintaining the upside. But remember, the upside can be time savings. The upside can be a forcing function, right? Like the long term is that this gets turned into a book. This doesn't get turned into a book if I never codify it. So that's how I choose courses. We just talked about this yesterday, and then I did an office day, and that's the question he asked me was, how do you always know what course to sell? And the truth is, I'm just selling it. It's a forcing function. So I have to make the thing that'll save me time and money, and it just so happens to benefit other people. So I sell it to them. Hopefully it's useful. nickpeterson.com/letter. I'm going to break down what this looks like. We already break down Dan Nicholson's strategy yesterday, but we're going to look at industries. We have some 7, 8 figure, 9 figure businesses. We're going to start breaking down what's going on in the newsletter. You can also go to nickpeterson.com/bombs just to get updates, see what's going on. I'm going to send a quick recap about this video, go a little bit more in detail on the newsletter. So it's that. Hopefully it's useful. If so, share it, tag somebody. If you have a hard time, if you don't know what to build next, just create that checklist. Start with that checklist. And then if you have multiple things that meet that criteria, we can start using other frameworks to figure out what to do.